Hey Falcons fans! We have a lot to discuss after the last matchup, so without further ado, let's get right to it. But before we get started with today's exclusive updates, take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you'll be up to date with all the latest news, analysis, and insider information about our team. Trust me, you won't want to miss what we have in store for you today. It's big news. Let's start with some great news for our defense. Rookie defensive tackle Rook Orhorhoro is set to return from the ankle injury he suffered in Week 8 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Head coach Raheem Morris confirmed that Orhorhoro is expected to return to practice this week. This is a big deal because Orhorhoro was drafted in the second round with high expectations, and now it looks like he's ready to come back and make an impact just when we need him most. Morris mentioned that Orhorhoro benefited from the week off, which gave him extra time to recover, and all signs point to him being ready to go. Orhorhoro, who stands 6'4" and weighs 290 pounds, played in 4 games this season before his injury. In that short span, he recorded 5 tackles and even managed to hit a quarterback in just 63 snaps. While those numbers may not jump off the page, his presence on the defensive line has been remarkable, and his return should provide a much-needed boost as we approach the most critical part of the season. If designated to return on Wednesday, he will have a 21-day practice window before being activated, but Morris hinted that Orhorhoro could be ready much sooner than that. On the other side of the ball, there has been plenty of talk about the Falcons' quarterback situation. After a 0-3 stretch in which Kirk Cousins has struggled, throwing 6 interceptions and no touchdowns, some fans have been calling for a change. But let's be clear, internally, there is no controversy about the quarterback. Raheem Morris has been unwavering in his support for Cousins, reiterating after Sunday's loss to the Chargers that Cousins is the team starter. According to Morris, Cousins is the guy to lead this team, and the focus is on helping him get back to his best form. Backup quarterback Michael Penix Jr., the team's first-round pick, has also been vocal in his support for Cousins. Penix understands his role and is ready whenever the team needs him, but he's also made it clear that he believes in Cousins' ability to turn things around. Penix has even said that Cousins is a great quarterback who has proven himself time and time again despite recent struggles. That kind of endorsement speaks volumes about the chemistry and respect within the locker room. Cousins himself has been refreshingly honest about his performances, saying that there is no entitlement in the NFL and that he needs to play at a level that justifies being on the field. That accountability is something Morris and the team have praised, and it's one of the reasons the Falcons still believe in him. Despite throwing 6 interceptions and being responsible for 4 fumbles in the past 3 games, Cousins has owned up to his mistakes and is determined to improve. This week's matchup against the Minnesota Vikings is shaping up to be a pivotal moment for Cousins and the Falcons. At 6-6, Atlanta is tied for the lead in the NFC South, holding the tiebreaker over the Buccaneers. A win on Sunday could not only keep the Falcons atop the division, but also serve as a statement that this team isn't going anywhere. For Cousins, it's a chance to bounce back and prove to the doubters that he's still the leader this team needs. Orhorhoro's return could also play a key role in Sunday's game. The defense will need to step up against a Vikings team that has struggled at home, and Orhorhoro's ability to disrupt the opposing offense could be the X factor. The Falcons will also be watching the status of safety DeMarco Hellams, who is recovering from an ankle injury. While Hellams is not expected to practice this week, his progress is a positive sign for the future. So, Falcons fans, this is where you come in. We want to hear from you. What do you think of Rook Orhorhoro's return? How much of an impact do you think he will have on defense? What about Kirk Cousins? Do you think he's the guy to lead this team down the stretch? Let us know what you think in the comments below. 6 weeks ago, this team was riding high at 6-3 after completely dominating the Dallas Cowboys. Playoff hopes seemed real. The NFC South seemed within reach. But fast forward to now, and we're 6-6 after a brutal 3-game losing streak to the Saints, Broncos, and Chargers. And the question on everyone's mind is simple: can Raheem Morris get this team back on track, or is the early season magic gone? Let's take a closer look at where things stand. First, we're lucky to still be in control of our own destiny. With a 4-1 record in the division, the Falcons have managed to stay afloat despite this losing skid. The Buccaneers are tied with us at 6-6, but we've got the tiebreaker. That's huge. Meanwhile, the Saints are 2 games back, and the Panthers, well, let's just say they're in full rebuild mode. But make no mistake, the margin for error is razor thin. 10 wins might secure the division, but 9? That's rolling the dice. And with only 5 games left, time is running out. Now, let's talk about Raheem Morris. When the Falcons hired him, many fans were skeptical. But others, myself included, thought he had the CEO-type qualities to lead this team. He's been a respected figure in the league, known for his defensive mind but also his versatility, having coached wide receivers during his time under Dan Quinn. He even showed promise as an interim coach back in 2020. But here's the thing, being a good leader and being a great head coach are 2 different things. The losses in this recent skid have exposed some cracks. Losing to the Saints after their head coach was fired? Tough, but maybe forgivable. But the losses to the Broncos and Chargers? Those sting. It feels like Morris is getting outcoached, especially against some of the top-tier names in the league. Just look at who he's beaten this season, teams like the Buccaneers, twice, the Cowboys under Mike McCarthy, and a few struggling squads like the Saints before Dennis Allen was fired. Solid wins, sure, but they don't scream elite coaching. On the flip side, look at who he's lost to: Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Mike Tomlin, and Jim Harbaugh, to name a few. These are some of the best in the game, and it's clear that Morris has struggled to match wits with them. It's not just Morris, though. Offensive coordinator Zach Robinson seems to have hit a wall, and defensive coordinator Jimmy Lake? Well, that hire is looking like a mistake. Adjustments need to be made, and fast. Then there's the quarterback situation. Kirk Cousins has been the guy all season, but his play in the last 3 games has raised serious questions. 6 interceptions, no touchdowns, and several fumbles during this skid. It's been rough. Morris has been steadfast in his support of Cousins, saying he's still the starter, but you have to wonder how long that leash is. Rookie Michael Penix Jr. has been waiting in the wings, and while he said all the right things about staying ready, the question is whether the Falcons will turn to him if Cousins continues to struggle. The next 5 weeks are pivotal, not just for the Falcons' playoff hopes, but for Cousins' future in Atlanta. There's a tough road game against the Vikings up next, a team led by Kevin O'Connell, who worked alongside Morris on the Rams Super Bowl staff. After that, the Falcons face winnable games against the Raiders, Jets, and Panthers, with a potentially decisive matchup against Washington to close out the season. Winning 4 out of 5 would all but guarantee a playoff spot. 3 wins might be enough, but anything less? That's a recipe for disaster. So, what's the path forward? First, Morris has to find a way to rally this team. That might mean reevaluating his staff. Jimmy Lake's seat as defensive coordinator is definitely heating up, or even making a bold move at quarterback. The good news is the Falcons have the talent to turn things around. The question is whether the coaching staff can maximize it. Now it's your turn, Falcons fans. What do you think? Should the Falcons stick with Raheem Morris beyond this season? Is it time to give Michael Penix Jr. a shot at quarterback? And what's your confidence level heading into these final 5 games? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed the breakdown, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more updates, analysis, and exclusive content about your Atlanta Falcons. Go Falcons!